Are you trying to make bigger profits in your small business? Like many of us, I'm sure you're feeling it. Business is hard, and now more than ever, you need to have a plan to help you not just survive, but thrive. I'm Marcia Reiner. I'm a profit and business strategist on a mission. I've helped tons of small business owners to establish and implement a tangible plan that guarantees increased profitability and guides your growth. I want to share some strategies that I've earned and learned on today's Profit with a Plan podcast. So I'm excited to have my guest on today, Bob Wheeler. He is a man of true integrity and with an infectious energy. Bob offers a simple and effective method for creating a healthy relationship with money. A popular radio show and podcast guest, Bob also hosts his own weekly podcast, Money You Should Ask, where he shares concepts of personal finance and invites guests to share their personal financial journey. Bob conducts numerous radical abundance and money, numerous radical abundance and money at its core seminars internationally and across the US. Bob is a core energetics and radical aliveness practitioner. Very interested to learn more about that. His crusade for holistic personal growth has cross-pollinated with his accounting practice to deliver a new approach to personal finance. Bob explores the emotions surrounding money management in his book, The Money Nerve, Navigating the Emotions of Money. His passion is to help others gain insight into why their emotions trigger their financial decisions. Big question. While building his accounting practice, Bob Wheeler simultaneously pursued his satire and venture into the realm of stand-up comedy, blending his wittiness with 25 years of helping clients. Bob's approach to money integrates warmth and humor. He shares his budgeting directives with a liberal dose of inspiration and motivation to anyone with monetary concerns. In addition to a CPA practice, Bob is also the CFO of the world famous Comedy Store in West Hollywood and La Jolla, California. Bob's a graduate of Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee, and his world travels have led him to all points on the globe, especially with those with high altitude. Wow, Bob, you're amazing. He climbed Africa's Mount Kilimanjaro and ascended over 17,000 feet in Nepal to Mount Everest Base Camp and reached the summit of several other small mountains in between. Bob's experience on the road and his personal struggles and assisting clients in the office have inspired him to assist others. Bob's witty and non-judgmental approach to personal finance provides guidance to anyone who wants to create a path to new financial freedom. Wow, you're amazing, Bob. Welcome to the podcast.
Wow, who is that guy? No.
Yeah, oh God, can I meet him, right? That's fantastic. You have such a wealth of experiences and you sprinkle humor all around it. And I just love that you're a kindred soul to me. You've got this analytical CPA style. You've got the Comedy Store over here, which is pure joy and creativity. And then it sounds like you probably sprinkle a little bit of that ADD over you as well, right?
Exactly. We all need a little ADD to keep us on our toes.
That's great. Wow, what world experiences you have. So I'm totally fascinated about how you use the holistic side to help people manage their money and their finances.
Yeah, well, what happened was I would sit there and give people very practical advice, and they would go out and do the exact opposite.
Exactly.
Like, okay, wait a minute. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty clear. And this happened a lot. And a lot of my tax meetings turned into therapy sessions. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of creative folks. And it really got me thinking. And at the same time, I was exploring my own self-sabotage with finance because I had a CPA title and I was just sabotaging left and right. And so I really got curious about myself and started exploring that with clients and saying, hey, what did your parents tell you about money? What's your belief about yourself? Do you think you can actually succeed? Or are you just going through the motions? And as we started to uncover things, it made so much sense to really connect with what's my backstory, what's my lineage, what are my beliefs, what are my blocks, so that we can then actually look at the financial stuff and be aware that there's these triggers that are going to come in and try and get us off course.
That's amazing. And you know what? It is very much a common situation that people self-sabotage themselves when they come to money. You know, they make it and then they blow it, right? You know, they've had a great year and then they go buy the new car, or
Yeah.
you know, the next greatest thing, and that's not always the best thing that they can do with it. So how do you work with them? How do you get them to realize that these are the mistakes, and then what kind of steps do you lead them on?
Yeah. So the first thing I ask people is, are you willing to get uncomfortable? And are you willing to do the work? Right? And some people will like straight up forward say no. And I'm like, okay,
No.
we're done. Thank you. Go in peace. Um, because we have to be willing to get uncomfortable and look at that stuff, because it's been sitting there for a long time, stagnating, and we need to sort of bring it up so we can flush it out or get to know it and be like, oh, there's, hey, voice, hey, under voice that likes to come in and self sabotage. So that's the first thing I do is I say, are you willing to look at this? And then I check in with them. How are the ways you're going to self sabotage? What are you going to do to take this business and ruin it? How are you not going to show up for yourself? So I ask all those things, and oh yeah, I'll probably be shy and I won't take initiative, or I'll tell myself it never will work. And so we start to explore all that and decide if we want to let it go, or at least be aware that it's over there and say, thank you. You must have served me in the past, but I'd like to do something different now. And so just to get really comfortable with those under voices that keep appearing and trying to take us off course. Once we can start to really get a sense of, oh, that's my parents talking to me. Oh, that's the religious organization I grew up in. Oh, that's the culture I grew up in. And then we decide, is that truth or a belief, so that we can then move past, oh, that's just a belief, so we can find a new belief, or oh, that is the truth. From there we can then start to decide what's the best path forward. And when I work with people, we work on budgets, we talk about spending habits, starting to make intentional choice and being conscious of, is what I'm doing right now serving, and is it in alignment with what I say that I want?
Wow, that's you hit so many different things on there that are like, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that. And in my practice, the same thing happens. Is there The first thing you have to do is create awareness. You
Right.
have to be able to look at what you're doing. And when I go through with my clients, because we're both on the money side, and we go into that budget and they're like, oh, really? I spent on that? What do you mean I have this? Those subscriptions, do I really need, is this money moving me forward? Is this expense moving me forward in it? And that those ahas are just amazing, because people spend unconsciously.
We do. And here's the thing, we have to keep checking in with that. Like myself, I was, I'm not paying attention because I've been on top of everything. And then find out that this free iPad that I got, I've been paying $45 a month, and I was in it for a year. And I thought, well, that wasn't free. But I didn't pay attention. I wasn't looking at the bill because things are good. Money's rolling in. I've got more, you know, income than expense. And I just, so I even have to, like, none of us get to stop and go, I'm done forever. We have to keep checking in.
Exactly, exactly. And those kind of expenses add up, right? And
Do.
so if you're looking to improve your bottom line and the profit that you're going to bring in, you've got to look consciously at those expenses that you're having, and even the income sources. So talk to me about one of the directions, or the main direction, that people can do to get back on track once they realize that these situations have gone on.
Yeah, I think the first two things to really get aware of is, how am I spending my money? What am I spending? Am I spending impulsively, or am I doing it consciously? So just to start to have awareness, oh, that's right. Every time I go to the grocery store, I don't take a list and I go when I'm hungry. Bad ideas, right? Don't do that. Am I impulse buying a lot? Or am I sticking to a list? Like, I love lists. If it's not on the list, it doesn't go in the cart. So that's
Mm.
one thing, being aware of that. The second thing is looking at my savings. Am I saving money, or am I just comfortable with? So I think so many people are comfortable with, $100 in my bank account, not overdrawn, 10,000. And then if it gets above that, oh, spend the money and get it right back to my comfort zone. And that's what we tend to do. It's like, oh, I can't have more than that. And so really looking at spending, I guess there's a third piece too, that am I accumulating debt? Because sometimes we go, oh, I just put on a credit card and I'll pay it off and I get miles. I get awards, right? And you have lots of debt.
Right. Because they're not zero balancing that each month, even though
Right.
because you can utilize other people's money
Yeah,
and spend on the credit cards, but you have to pay them off each month.
you
Then
do.
you're getting free use of those miles. But if you
That's
keep
right.
that balance, it, cha-ching's up there and those miles aren't free, right?
They're not free. And that's the thing. It's great to use other people's money when it's working for you and you're doing it smart. You know, I had a client, they had $100,000 worth of credit card debt and all kind and car debt and all this stuff. And they had a house. And I looked at them and I said, you know what? We could get you a line of equity, home equity line. At the time, that was tax deductible, and which is not now. And so we borrowed the money, paid off all the stuff. I saw him a year later. I said, how are things going? He said, well, we're now still in $100,000 worth of credit card debt because, well, we had an emergency. We needed to travel to Europe, and then we needed a new car. And I said, wow, if I'd known that you were going to double your debt, I would have never helped you, because all you did was double the debt. I was actually trying to get you out of debt, right? And they created all these emergencies, like I have to take a trip. I have to get a
Right.
boat.
I have to get a boat, right?
It's-
Yeah, we definitely trick ourselves to thinking the things that we need with any decision, and this is not anything new or rocket science. We all buy on emotion and then try to justify it with logic. And so, oh yeah, I had to have the boat, and then because we were going out on a vacation and it was cheaper to buy the boat than rent the boat.
right.
I mean,
Right.
whatever they came up with to do that. We definitely we need to stop that, because that's the worst thing that we can do. And I think that's why this conversation is so fantastic, because we're both that here's the number side and here's the creative ways to get out of the trouble. And I think that listeners, they need to hear this. That savings conversation that you had, nobody's doing that. If
Yeah,
they're making 100,000, they're spending 120. If
that's
they're
right.
making 300,000, they're spending 400. And they're not saving for that time. So it becomes a balance. What do you think about the tricks we tell ourselves? So like when we say, oh, it's automatically taken out, so I don't spend it, right? To go into
Right.
the savings. What do you think of those kind of strategies?
I love them. Personally, I love them. I have like 7 savings accounts, that money just comes out of each one, and I started small when I was working my way back out of debt. Even though I was a CPA making a lot of money, I still created lots of debt, right? So I started small, $20 a week, every week, go into a different account. Then it became 50, then it became 100. And
Mm.
so it was just like, oh yeah, $100 came out. Oh, 50. It didn't hurt. And
Yeah,
it just all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I've got 50,000 in that account. That's pretty cool. Right. And so for me, it's baby steps. If you keep waiting for that moment to save, oh, I'm going to get the bonus. Oh, I'm going to get a big refund. Oh, you're not. It's not
right.
going to happen. Just start small, $5, $10. But I do like those because it goes back to that comfort level. If you've got a main bank account and your comfort level is $5,000, as soon as there's $10,000 in it, you feel like, oh, I can spend
I
that.
can
That's extra
spend.
money.
Yay.
And boom, it's gone. So if you just remove it from that account that you're always looking at to find your comfort and start putting in these other accounts, it actually starts to feel really good. Um,
Mm.
it's I have an actress client of mine who's a good friend who a couple of years ago broke. Everything was terribly bad. Got a couple of hit TV shows, made a couple $300,000. We worked out everything, and she stuck to the plan. And I was talking to her. This is only 2 years. Talking to her the other day, and she's like, "Bob, I have $250,000 for a down payment on a house. All my debt is completely gone. I have no debt." And what we did was, like, her family was coming to town to celebrate that she'd gotten this TV show. I said, "Great, you only get to spend $5,000 on them. Like, that's it." Because she was like going to buy everybody hotel rooms and fly. I'm like, here's your budget. That's what you work with. You don't get any more. But I no. And so now she looks at all of her accounts and she's like, oh my God, I have $30,000 to pay my taxes. It's right over here. And she just really followed it to the T, and she stuck to the plan. And it's amazing when I get to hear those success stories.
How do you get people to stick to those strategies? I mean, we can lay out the best laid plans, but you can't make a horse drink the water. You can take them there, but they can't drink it. You can't force them. How do you do that?
Well, there's different ways. So there's the tricking yourself. There's the putting the money in the savings, those kinds of things. With her, initially she would say, I don't know how to do any of this. So whatever you tell me, that's the law. So then she calls me up. She's like, oh, I want to get a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm like, no, you absolutely can't have it. Yeah, but no, you can get it in a year if you do this, this, and this.
So she was comfortable letting
All
you
right.
tell her what to do. What about
Yeah.
those that don't have that person that will tell them? Is there any kind of program or things that
Well,
they can do to help, besides friends, accountabilities?
Well, accountability is a big part, is doing that. I do have some of my clients, I ask them to check in with me once a month to give me updates. Where are you? What's changed? Are you saving as much as we talked about? Are you keeping your spending under control? Like those kinds of things. So just to check in even with me, because a lot of times when I do workshops, a lot of times when I do like a series where it's like 12 weeks, a lot of times people will stop spending money because they don't want to tell me on the third week that they spent money. And so just by the nature of not wanting to say I spent the money, they start saving money. They're like, oh my God, I have more money at the end of the workshop. So it is really important, I think, to have accountability. And I get people to write out their plans. I like people to initially write out. I have a book called Book of Dreams, and in it, I've got my goals. I've got short term, what I want to accomplish in the next 6 months. I've got midterm, what I want to accomplish in the next 6 months to 2 years, and then long term. And so I list those out, and then initially I encourage people every couple of weeks to go in and readjust it. Maybe you said you wanted to learn French, but it just sounded cool, or you wanted to buy a really nice house because your parents were shaming you for not uh, buying any real estate. And so and to really check in with, oh, is that what I want? Or wait, that's what my parents want? Or I'm doing this so my friends will think better of me, and really get clear about what do I want, and then keep adjusting that so that, and then as you spend money and save money, oh, that's right, these are my goals. I love putting Post-it notes all over the house, whether I'm trying to lose
You're
10
one of those
pounds.
guys, huh? You pull up. I pulled up next to a guy years ago in a car at the stoplight, and I looked over. He literally had his car pasted inside with all these Post-it notes. So I can imagine that to you, right?
That's a little overkill. I try to keep it simple, but I really try to keep things on my radar, and I really try to get people into a routine, so that on Sundays you sit, or Mondays, sit and look at your numbers. How did I do last week? When we get to the weekend, oh, it's Friday. Let me take all the money out of my wallet and only leave $50 in. So when I go out and party, I only get to spend $50. Or
right.
When I go to Vegas, I get $100 on the slot. Now I don't even like to put the money in the slot machines because I want to keep it. I'd rather go to the shows. But setting up boundaries for yourself, and then sticking to them. And then, I do check in with all of my peeps, and I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? How's it going? So that they feel accountable.
I think that's so important, setting boundaries. And I love your Book of Dreams. That's your business plan if you're in business. That's your personal plan if you're not in business. But I mean, that's where you start to do things, and then it makes sense where that money goes, how you allocate it. It says, oh, I may not want to buy these new shoes today because I'm saving for a house,
Right.
or I've got this trip coming up that I want to do. So oh my gosh, I'm paying for my vacation before I go. What a novel
concept.
concept.
Yeah. And for people that do affirmations or like to meditate in the morning, just put that Book of Dreams over by your little altar or on the floor by a pillow, so that it's just consciously, oh, that's right, I have these dreams and goals.
Yes, I coach to the same thing. That business plan is not created in December and put up on the shelf. It's got prime real estate on your desk,
That's
so you
right.
can go back to it. Every decision you make is based on what you've created in that plan. And that's the same way. It's the same methods that we're using here to make good financial decisions. And we know that these decisions can be hard in the beginning, right?
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
the opposite side of looking into your bank account, next year and finding 20 or 30 or $50,000 in there because you mindlessly took it out. There's a silver lining. There's definitely a silver lining.
Absolutely. And one of the things I would encourage people to do when you write your lists out is to actually write them out. Don't type them, don't dictate them into a phone, literally write them out. There is scientific proof that there is a connection between the brain and the writing, and you're connecting with these specific things so that they actually integrate into your system. So it's so important in my belief system to really write things out. And I have lots of handwritten lists, and I scratch and I add and I change, and then I tear it up and I rewrite it. And when I take a couple things off that sounded cool that aren't going to happen. And then I think the other important thing is, so many people in this day and age want to go from A to Z and fast,
Quickest path to cash.
right?
The shortest cut that you could possibly make. Let's start the building on the 10th floor instead of the first floor.
That's right. Got to build foundation. So it's like, just get to B, just get to C. And it's more manageable. Then you're not overwhelmed. Then you're not shaming yourself or disappointing yourself. And I would say, for anybody that's starting to consciously look at their money, there's no shame in all of it. It's
Thank you.
Get curious. Isn't that interesting? I love to overdraw my bank account. Isn't that interesting? I love credit card debt. Wow, I'm so curious about that. Rather than, you're just like your parents said you would be. You're just like your brother. You're just like your ex, right? So non-shaming.
Changing the language that you say to yourself. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Because we've got the little angel over here and the little devil over there. The angel says, no, don't charge that. And the devil goes, yeah, you could pay it off later. It's only dinner, and it's for business. So I'm going to go out, and you start justifying that. I like the way you say that. Talk right to yourself. Hey, if I do this, what is my plan to pay it off?
Yeah.
And then stick to it.
Yeah. Make it fun too. Go into your bank accounts and talk to your money. Open up your wallet, talk to your money. Hey guys, talk to your friends, bring more of you. Right? Just don't make it so all about conflict and all about negativity and all of, a lot of people, when you say money conversation, they think you mean have a fight.
Right. I used to say it's a budget, not a diet.
Yeah.
It is a history of what you've spent in the past and a forecast of what you plan to spend next time. And that's all a budget is. And it's saying, how close did I come to it?
Yeah.
How can I stay on track for what I wanted to do? It shouldn't be a punishment. And I love that. I can't remember what the Japanese philosophy is around money, where they say you have to love spending and have that good energy. I literally, a girlfriend gave me a bunch of little sticky hearts that I put on my credit card. I love spending, this is bad. I love spending money on my credit card because it's going to come back to me in droves, and I'm going to have more of it to spend and give and support the world as well as myself. So it's kind of that energetically thing around money. And we have to get out of that bad stuff that, money's bad and, it doesn't do good and it's evil, and it's a tool.
It's a tool. Money does a lot of amazing things, and there doesn't need to be shame about spending. And there doesn't need to be shame if you overspend. It's really about, let's get curious and decide if we want to do it differently. In other words, if you're totally happy overspending and having the debt, then there's nothing to change.
I think we're happy overspending. We're not happy when we have to pay the debt, and when it takes 10 years to pay off the dinner you had on the credit card, because there's interest on top of interest on top of interest on top of interest.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of times people say to me, well, look, I'm in my 40s or 50s. It's too late. right? I can't get started. And for me, the question is, no matter what age you are, why wait? Like, it's time. Like, it's time
Yeah.
to get started. And it doesn't matter if you're late to the party. You're at the party.
Hmm.
Let's, like, it's never too late.
I agree. And I think the older you get, the more important it is, and you don't have the leverage of compounding interest to get you there.
Yeah.
Um, the whole methodology of starting early is you put something in and it grows on itself over time,
Yeah.
compounding interest. But if you're 50, 55 and you're trying to start saving now, you have to put more money in to get it to work. However, anything is going to be helpful because our
Right.
time, longevity, right? We're
Mhm.
all living longer. We may have to work longer. The last thing I want my clients to do, and I used to say this when I was in financial planning, my clients will never have to say welcome to Walmart, right? When you see
Right.
the greeters in the entryway that are working because they have to.
Yeah. And here's the thing, we don't all have to be multimillionaires. We don't need to be generating $2 million a year. I have a client who I just love dearly. She's retired. She was a teacher living on a very limited income, but she started with me 10 years ago, and we budget out. We figure out what she's going to owe in tax. We figure out how much to put in savings. Now, as long as she doesn't go out and,
Paint the
spend,
town.
yeah, yeah, exactly, paint the town red and blue and green. As long as she stays conscious about her spending, she's set. Now, does she get to go fly to Paris every year? No. But is she happy and content and satisfied with her life and her friends and her life experience? Absolutely. And she is very conscious of, I'm on a limited income. It doesn't mean I have a limited life. And so,
Hmm.
but she makes choices. She calls me up and says, can I do this? What do you think about this? Will this take me forward or set me back? And
Great
so I
question.
love that, that even though some people would say, oh, she's older, why do you even waste your time with her? You could get a client that would pay you a lot more money, because I give her a discount, right? Because I just love that she's committed to staying conscious.
And I think that's it. It's not, you don't have to be a millionaire. You have to understand, I have this amount of income coming in and I can't spend any more than that.
Right.
So whatever my income is, that's my lifestyle. And if
Yeah.
you want a nicer lifestyle, you have to bring in more income.
Right.
And it's really is a simplified process to it. But we want to pull up at, we both live in Southern California. You pull up at the stoplight, you look over and there's, all these new cars, and this guy
Yeah.
spent 100,000 on that. I jokingly say that we live in the land of pretend. We've got credit card watches, we've got our house is mortgaged to the hilt, our
Yeah.
wives are all made up,
Yeah.
and we're $50,000 millionaires because we look
Right.
like we live the $1 million lifestyle, but we have really $50,000 in the bank. Not much.
Absolutely. I think many of us live beyond our means. And, one of the things that I feel is so missing currently is understanding delayed gratification. We have to have it instantly. And there's a great Stanford marshmallow study on delayed gratification that was done, where they traced the history of these people that did the study. 5 and 6-year-olds, if you wait an hour, you get 2 marshmallows, or you can eat the marshmallow now. And they were able to measure the success into their adulthood, and that those
Hmm.
that learned to experience delayed gratification were much more financially and in all other aspects of their lives much more successful than those that had to have it now.
Wow, I like that idea. And it is true. It's that vacation thing. The vacation is so much more enjoyable. Trust me, I've done it both ways. If you pay for it before you get there, you've saved up the money that you're going to spend on the vacation,
Yeah.
rather than going on the vacation and paying for it for the next year or more, for the thing.
That $5,000 vacation that I put on the credit card ended up costing me 10,000.
Or more. Right. Exactly. Because you paid for it afterwards. But I love the idea of, plus it gets the excitement going,
Yeah,
and I
absolutely.
think we should be excited about our money.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic tool that can do so much for you, your family, your charities, the people around you, the clients that you're working with. That's a great tool. And if we love on it and we give it the best that we can, the best energy, the best guidance, we nurture it, and we do all the things that it can do, it's going to come back to us in a fantastic manner.
Absolutely. And I think, one of the things for me is, people will say, well, the love of money is the root of all evil. And it's the love of money, not money itself. And if you're so focused on making that next dollar that you ignore your family, or that you don't actually have any relationships with people in the world because you're so busy climbing on top of everybody, like, it's not going to end well, right? It's just not going to end well.
True.
And so it's great to have these goals of this is what I want in life, but for me, it's also important to have amazing experience, life experience, travel, connection with family and friends, experiences. That's what we remember, not how much it cost or how much we made. And I don't think I've ever seen a gravestone that has the amount of money that they died with, because they win.
You can't take it with you.
You can't.
You can't.
It's about life.
Great point. And it is so true. So I'm so happy that you are with me today, Bob. This has been a really good conversation. Where can listeners find out more about you and your book?
Absolutely. So my website is themoneynerve.com, and that's nerve, not nerd. I am a nerd, but themoneynerve.com. And you can find the book. We have an online course called Mastering the Emotions of Money that takes people through a 12-week course of tracing your history, working out budgets, and setting up goals and learning to align with those in your conscious decision-making. We explore the importance of words, and really explore that under voice. So that's a great place to find me. That's also the place where you can find my Money You Should Ask podcast, where we interview people that share their own personal experiences about their money journey, from all walks of life.
Wow, fantastic. So 3 really impactful places that you can go to learn more about your money, gain control over it so you can make great financial decisions, because money makes the world go around, and it's a good thing. I know I'm loving these little coins that I'm pulling out of thin air, right? But you really have to be in control over it. So awesome.
You do. You do.
All right, listeners, I hope you found an idea or two to put into your business that will help you become more profitable. This is the perfect foundation for it. So considering what's happened over the past year or more now, it's more important now than ever to create your own profit plan, so that you too can have a thriving profit business. To help my listeners further, I've put together 6 powerful tips that you can use right now in your business to change and increase your profitability. Go check that out on my website at trajectorybiz.com. As always, we'd love to hear your questions, feedback, or even ideas for future shows. Please subscribe and comment on today's podcast. Ring that bell so you can get notified for next week when the next podcast comes out. And as always, you can catch Profit with a Plan on any of your favorite podcast players. We're looking forward to more great profitable information on next week's show. So until then, make your plans and profit. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks so much.